Okay, okay. Are we back? I think we're back. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, hello. Solar Loon here. Yeah, indie game developer, creator of Master Plan, creator of Tetra 3D, and now creator of this game that has been taking me like the greater part of the year to make. Life is just like that, dude. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah. So this is this little game. It's a top-down adventure game. You walk around, you talk to people. Um, And so over the past couple days, I've been working on a couple things. One of them was the CRT shader, making that look nice and pretty. It's looking good, working well. I think it's got some crazy good glow, crazy good vibes coming off of this thing. Beautiful, beautiful. I think it's beautiful anyway. We'll see. It should look pretty good. I think. I think. Well, I think it'll. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. I'll see if I can put that on my Retroid Pocket Flip 2 and see what it looks like on a little screen, with the OLED screen, and what how the vibes feel. I feel like the vibes are going to be solid. All right, so let's make some actual progress on this thing. I want it to be like close to being done at some point. And it's not close to being done, but it's getting there. So let's see if we can get it there a little faster. So, um, yeah. So there's a couple things I wanted to do. A couple things I need to fix. A couple things I need to do. Let me see here. Maybe I should. I think I need to like adjust the way that my UI system works because the way it works, probably shouldn't spend so much time on trying to get things to be the way they're supposed to be. But if we take a look at how the UI system works, primarily, oh yeah, there is a title screen. Primarily here in the options menu, it's like it would be cool if if I pressed back and it went to the top option, but there's not really an easy way to do that. Um, like I can't say, for example, I guess I can do it like that, but I can't. Maybe I could do like this. So it just be you highlight the first most highlightable thing, and maybe number one could be like the last. So if I'm here and I press back, I can like force setting the cursor, to be at display options, so that I don't have to. I mean, I guess it's fine the way it is. It just feels like pressing back and then just like it being here still on X, it feels weird. It feels weird to me. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It doesn't really matter, but at the same time, it's like it kind of does. I also would like there's just things I like to do. There's things I like to do. Let me get some music going while I think, because there's some stuff I wanted to do with the UI, and I'm not sure if I want to spend time on that, or like actually work on the game. Oh, and Bird says, hello. Bird 51, hello. Okay, I see. Let me do a couple things here. There we go. Let's see. watching 3FS. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, that's stupid. 3FS is stupid. Okay. Let's see. All right. So okay, so this works. What I'm trying to do, what I need to do is make it so that you can go between option sets with up and down. Now, something I would like to do is to make it so that you can go between option sets while maintaining the cursor position. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, but I would like to be able to do that. At the very least, I need you to be able to go up and down. You can only go down from the first option, not from the others. So let's see if we can do something about that. At the very least. So I think the problem I'm having is that I'm trying to make this a functional solution, but I also need to know like how many options are in this set before I even do anything. That's what I was gonna do. Just thinking. So yeah, I think what I need to do, like for this situation, to make this work, like currently the way it works is that when you press like up or down, for example, each button sets another button to be highlighted, right? So it's like, okay, this is, let's just call this button A. When you press down, it sets button B to be highlighted. And if for button B, if you press up, it says button A to be highlighted. The issue with this is I have to know what the IDs are ahead of time, as opposed to situations like this where because it's functional, I may not know the IDs ahead of time. So in this case, if I press up, I really want to move up, move the highlight back to. So 1, 2, or 1, 2, right? So from this position, moving it back 2 would put it here, which is still, that's not perfect, but that's better than putting it here, I think. And that's better than not being able to move down at all, because I don't know what the next object is here. Because it hasn't happened yet, right? The object doesn't have an ID yet. Well, maybe I can do this a different way. Let me think. Hold on. Let me change the music real quick. Let me think. What is another way to do this? How else can I do this? That works. This does not. You can't go from here down. How should I handle this? Yeah, actually, not knowing the name of the ID may not even really matter, because like in this situation, it would have to move forward twice, but it would only know to do that if it knew how many slots the button list comprised of, right? So this list of buttons is 3 buttons long, 1, 2, 3. If it doesn't know how many is here, then it would just be like, okay, well, like if it yeah, okay. So then that doesn't solve the problem. Okay, I see. All right, so then if that's the case, then our current solution is fine, I think. It's just that we would like to know what the next... Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you can see how it's being built like this. I guess what I probably should have done, or could have done, was make this in such a way where the UI is like constructed, and then we execute it. So that we can know like what the UI looks like essentially before we even draw it, yeah, where the highlights are, all that stuff. So what would that even look like? Let's take a look at this. Okay, so this is an example where we call GUI.begin and then we call GUI.end. Well, we have to call that every frame anyway, so maybe that's not, maybe we're already kind of doing a lot of the work. So when we do this, we are creating a UI button at a certain position or in certain positions. Then we say, okay, create a button group, and then we create more buttons. When we call GUI.end, maybe then we can control what the highlights are. Why do I even call GUI.end? Okay. Okay, I'm thinking maybe I can rework this to be a little bit more what I'm thinking of, like a little bit more what I'd like it to be. You know what? Let me take a look at what UI options are available for Ebitengine. Hmm. This works really well, but the thing about this Ableton UI is that it's so much more than I feel like I need. And, like the UI, these UI solutions are good, but they all like the UI solutions are good, but none of them feel like. Well, I mean, maybe they could work. I don't know. Maybe I want to like start over with this concept. Do I really want to do that? Like, I don't really want to do that, but I also feel like this doesn't really work the way I want it to. I honestly, I think I think I want to start over. I'm just thinking about it. And the concept is so, it's appealing, dude. Like, it's appealing to think like, oh, I could just start over and do this, like, in a more kind of easier to use way. Cause like, I'm thinking about it. All right, let me like start mocking something up real quick. Let's see what this would look like. Okay. So I'm all tangled up. So the UI, well, let me get some different music too. That's right. I'm departing on a journey. I got some kind of notification and I don't know what it said. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just trying to see, like, what do I want to keep from all this? Like state, what UI creation objects or functions could return the state, and the state, you can just use the state to see if something's on or not. So there's definitely things I can do to make this simpler. I'm just thinking, like, what would this look like? A layout. Like something that I didn't like or don't like is that currently you set the size of individual UI elements in the element itself. Like this, where like we're setting the size of each button, its width, and the height is it manages that by default. But I kind of feel like this should not be set for each button. I feel like this should be set in some sort of layout system where we say like, okay, we have an area or whatever. It has, it's 400 by 400. When we add 4 buttons, they automatically scale to fit that area. Can't tell if I'm wasting time or not. Because if you set stuff per button or per UI element, then you get this kind of a situation where the layout needs to know how big the items are. So you have a function to lay things out, but you also still need to know how big the items are which you specify in the items themselves. And it's like, why are you doing this twice? Okay. Let's try just like scrapping this entire thing. For an area, you have an ID. You have a rectangle. I don't know if I even want an offset. Yes. Okay. So this is also a problem, was UI input was done in the draw phase, which is bad because the draw phase, you know, it can run at variable frame rates, right? So like it would be nice to have, yeah, this GUI update. Yeah, like why? Okay, okay, okay. Oh, I guess like, yeah, we could just do this. Oh man, I don't know if I want to go back this far. I don't know if I want to write all this over again. Okay, So we're starting over entirely, I guess. Um, Man, I don't know. I keep thinking like I don't know if I want to do this. Because it does work, but it's just like it doesn't work as well as I would like it to. Okay, this is starting to feel a little better already. Just the theory of how this would work. I think this was fine. Actually, Let's see. Should an icon... No, the icon could be as part of a label, I guess, because the label might begin with an icon. The image. Begin. Okay. Okay. That works. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. So what I'm doing is starting from scratch with my UI system. I want something that is a little bit better. Not so bad. It's pretty bad currently. It's kind of janky. So I'm starting from scratch. The core idea here is to kind of like make things more generic, more compartmentalized, where it's like this thing controls the sizing and positioning, that thing actually draws the stuff. Ideally, I would probably add the things I'm drawing to some sort of internal stack or space so that I can more easily know where things are before I draw them. The reason why that's probably better is because if you use a purely programmatic approach, things could theoretically shift around as you draw things or not draw things. You know what I mean? So it's like if I don't draw something, I probably want that space to be invisible. I mean, I guess it depends. Nah, maybe not. But like if I have well, I guess an example that makes it easy. If I do things purely programmatically, then I don't really know how many buttons I'm going to draw if I'm drawing buttons in a grid. So if I say like, oh, okay, I'm laying out a grid of buttons. It's a 3x3 grid of buttons, like squares, like, you know, A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. Like if I'm drawing a grid like this of buttons, I can't know while I'm drawing how many buttons I'm going to draw because it's purely programmatic. But if I basically place all the buttons, then when I draw them, I can know like, oh yeah, when I press right and I'm on button A3, it should wrap around to A1. But if I press down, it should go to button B3 because I know how many buttons I'm going to draw ahead of time. Rather than, because I guess I could do that if I had a function that drew buttons specifically for button grids, so I could supply that information ahead of time. But I think that maybe things were just a little too complicated. Whoops, a little too complicated, and I thought it would be good to kind of simplify. Like you look at this setup, and it's just a lot of setup, dude. Like this is fine. Oh, that's probably why that was happening. Yeah. This is fine. That would probably be better. So yeah, what I'm thinking is like this. Like it doesn't make it made sense to me at the time to make, for example, buttons have a size, but now I'm like, why not? Why that's not really what a button is supposed to do. A button doesn't determine its size. The layout determines its size. The button should determine what it looks like. The layout, because then you're separating out the size of things from the look of things or the functionality of things. And that's important because the way things are laid out can kind of change, or it shouldn't be kind of like variable. Like if I don't supply a height to a button, then it's going to be just big enough to fit the text on the button. So for example, if the button is, it has a single line of text, then it's going to be probably 32 big, but however wide to support the width of the button. But then for text boxes, they fill up the entire area that you give them to if you don't specify the width and height. And so it's like, well, why is it so inconsistent? And then when it comes to actually positioning things into, for example, a grid or something, it wasn't it was again inconsistent. And so it's like this, like I don't want to have to supply the size of an object, the size of objects to a layout, and supply the size of the objects to the styling of the object itself. The layout should control the size, because it has to control the size. And every area, every time you put something in an area, every time you draw a UI element, it should have the size. It should know what how big the thing is drawing is. So that's the idea. We're gonna see how this works. We're gonna see. We're gonna try. So let's try. Okay. I guess that's fine. Okay. So, oh, it doesn't like this because we set scroll offset. Yeah, we might use that eventually. Okay. We don't actually. So this is the area here. Okay, so here's the root. Yeah, root area. It is at 100, 100, 300 by 200, and there's no scroll. Cool. Okay. I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking here. Okay. So what we want to do then, let's start off with something basic. Okay. So, I mean, I guess we could do something like this. Something even simpler. Okay, let's see. Let me think. Hold on. Like, I don't know why I picked like the most complicated thing to start with, which is a text box, but there's nothing like that is like a basic object. Like you need the text box to work before you do anything else. So it's kind of, that's just kind of the way it is. Um, Okay. Okay. I'm just like trying to like just understand what I'm thinking. Okay, so this still works. Let's go to area. Okay. Oh, actually, I guess I can do it like this. You actually use children? Hold on. I might be. I think I might be coming. My brain might be coming online here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. States. Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Man, I wish I had a simpler UI element. Okay, I guess I could draw just an image. I'm just trying to get like an idea for how this works before I get too deep into it. I feel like I'm getting it's easy to get lost in the sauce, and I'm trying not to. So let me try just an image. Oh, we already have one. Okay. Okay, let's see. Cool. Okay. So this is a good kind of thing. Okay. So here's an example. So we have an area of an arbitrary size. We're now drawing an image at the top left corner of it. Now, what I would like to do is to set a layout that basically will control the positioning and size of this object, this image, such that I could just do this. And have them draw in some sort of sequence, whatever the sequence that might be. The layout function should control how big they are and where they're placed. So I can make them a horizontal bar or a vertical list, vertical, whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's what the layout system should be doing. So that should be something like this, where we set the layout like this. There should be something here like that. So really the layout could be maybe just a function, which is given the index of the object, the overall area, which I guess could be just a rectangle actually. And yeah, I guess that's enough. So I'm thinking like, okay, let me break out a sprite real quick, because this is gonna be a little bit of a visual exercise. Okay, so let's say we have an area like this, right? And so we have objects. That we want to position. Let's say we have 3 objects, like so. Like that. We want to position them just like that. this is position 1. This is position 2. This is position 3, right? So yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm whoops. I'm just thinking like, oh wait, I gotta do something about this. Ooh, that was a good shot. What I'm thinking is basically that just I might want to do this, or I might want to split these up into thirds, right? Like this, and then stretch the objects vertically such that they become vertical bars, right? Like I might want a button or an image or whatever that is this big. Like if you're thinking, for example, for banners, like you might want something like this where each element is the full height but is 1/3 of the spacing. Or you might want something like this where each element is a piece of the spacing. But ultimately, either of these can be achieved with a function, right? It should basically say, given an index and a overall rectangle, so we could just say this is an area rectangle, it should return a rectangle that indicates where to draw the thing. So I'm thinking like, okay, if we have a space, we could divide it up into thirds and then give that to an image drawer and say, okay, you're drawing in this square, for example. But how do we know to give it? Oh, yeah. Okay, I think I see what I'm thinking, and I think that this could work. Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me think some more. Now, what if we have a grid of 9 buttons, let's say? The layout function gives us... Oh, we got a spammer. Goodbye, sir. Cyber terrorism. Okay. So yeah, when I'm thinking cyber terrorism, what I'm thinking is if we use this layout function, we don't know whether the layout function is finished. That's what I guess we would want to know, right? Like, at what point is it finished? Because I'm like, okay, you put like, you know, button A, B, C, D, E, F, E, G, E, F, G, E, F, G, right? On the bottom row. So when we go to do the highlighting phase, where you can select which one is highlighted, the layout function just controls where they're placed. I see. Right. So maybe the layout function should not just return... Hold on, let me think. I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking that once we have the objects placed, we can be a lot smoother about how the highlights worked. Because once that's working, we can do things like place, for example, buttons. Let's say, imagine that each of these circles is a button. We can place buttons like this, right? And then place a button, for example, here and here. We'll put one there, so that if you're highlighting this button, when you press up, there's a couple ways you could do this. One would be to basically find the button that's closest on the same y-axis, like heavily biased toward the y-axis. So when you press up, it goes here. And similarly, when you press down, it goes here. But obviously, if you do this, then it should go here and here. But if you press up here, it should go to this one. Because all of the objects should exist ahead of time. They should all exist before we actually do the highlighting stuff. Before we draw them, they should all be essentially where they are. So the layout function controls where the objects are. Yeah, and then let me see. I think I'm on the right track. Okay, so let's just give a basic. All right, so this is the basic default layout function, which is just return the area rectangle itself, essentially. So when we go back over here to the area, the layout is this layout function. When we create a new area, okay, there we go. And now when we go to now when we go here, we should be able to say a.layout 0 is fine. The index, that is the index of the object being laid out is not, the object doesn't know what its index is. It might be able to ask. It might be able to ask. But yeah, I should have probably. So the layout actually should probably be strut. Here we go. Okay, so the default layout turns instead a layout this. There we go. There we go. Area draw image. This shouldn't work like this technically, because we're drawing things in here. We don't draw things in here. We do this. Yeah, we don't actually draw this here. UI drawable. So yeah, I shouldn't actually draw this stuff. I think this function, we're supposed to place things ahead of time, right? Didn't I say that that's what we should do? We should place things ahead of time so that when we go to the highlighting phase, we know where elements are. That seems wise. Okay. So then okay. Okay, I think I'm on the right track. So I think what we want to do, this actually could probably be a struct. Although now this is kind of an issue, right? It doesn't don't we have, yeah, background, it can't be a draw call. Literally. So so we construct a draw call. UI drawable is anything that has a rectangle and a draw function. But it doesn't know what the rectangle is. It has the draw function. Okay, I think I'm on the right track. I think what we want to do is something like this. We don't want to draw. We don't want to draw here. We don't want to draw here. We don't want to draw here. We want to draw later. Why do we want to draw later? Because we need to place the objects. I mean, I guess we could draw and place them at the same time. We don't need to draw later. That's true. because I'm kind of struggling to quite get how this works. Yes, source that area. Okay. Item rectangle. Okay. So the idea here is that we can now do okay. Make this new layout. Didn't pass nil here. Okay, so beautiful. You see this? You see this little jittering? That's interesting. I'm not sure why it's jittering, but anyway, that's what we want. We want this. We want this, where we can say, okay, we want this thing to fill the screen. But if we don't want that, then we can go ahead and say, for example, a.layout, which I guess should be there. Okay. So now the reason why we do this is because if we want it to do something else, we can. We can say a.layout dot, well, we can just say layout like that. Layout dot set function. I guess we could just say set. There we go. Cool. So if we wanted a special layout, a different layout function, we can edit it. So instead of filling up this entire space, if we want it to simply be the top left corner, we can just say return. This needs to be exposed. I guess maybe we should pass the rectangle. Because if we pass the rectangle, then that might be a little more... just a little easier to handle, yeah. Okay. All right. So if we don't do anything, it fills up the entire space, but we can say, oh, we just want a 32 by 32 square at the top left. Or we can say, oh, we want a 32 by 32 square, but it moves over time. So for example, we say something like this. I think, let me see. Oh, yeah, this is wrong. It needs to be... yeah. There we go. There we go. Now he's sliding around. That's exactly what we wanted. So now we could do cool stuff. We can let's make it move a little faster. Now he should get like clipped once he gets to this right border of the area. Let's see if he does. He does. Cool. Now it would be cool if we remember we're drawing 3 of these guys. So it would be cool if we could stack them. We could stack them. So we could say we just add index times 32. Dude just disappeared. Let's see, index. Okay, why is index? Yeah, okay. So we have to have a reset. I guess that's fine. We call advance whenever we use this thing. We advance at the end. So that means that we need to reset, which we can do here. Yeah, we can do it here. Okay. There we go. Now we got a column of these guys. They're going crazy. So that's the goal. That's the idea. Now we have a lot more control over how exactly these things draw. But we don't control what they're shaped like. We control what they're shaped like, how they're laid out separately from what's drawing. So basically we could substitute this with anything and they should still fit in that 32 by 32 square, which is that's the ideal, right? Because now we can say like, oh, we want it to be you know, want them to be taller. We want them to be offset. So yeah, now we have control. Now we have so much more control over what these whatever are shaped like. And it's just better. This is just far better. This is a much better solution where now with this system, you can have this layout system, and then you could have, you know, the whole rendering system and all that stuff. So that's cool. That's very cool indeed. And if we want to, for example, draw things on top of each other, we could just not advance the layout, or advance and then reverse the layout. Step forward and step it back. So for example, you could say, okay, well, draw a background, which would normally advance the layout, step it back one and draw a frame on top, or draw text on top, which advances again, and now it's correctly where it should be. And so the whole, you know, the advantage of it is you could draw stuff on top of stuff. You can position things which you want the way you want. You know, you could do complicated shapes, like, you know, if we wanted to position things in a circle, if we wanted a spiral, let's try that. So let's say that the size of these guys is pretty small now. Let's say that it is, they're just 8 by 8, let's say. Little guys. But now let's say we want them to be in a spiral. So we want the center point to be source rect center. There we go. And then we want to flare it outwards. So let's start with this center.x. You could see I'm like dying inside. Okay, so this is the center. There we go. We know that they're 8, so we can say like this. Okay, so now they're dead center. And now let's say we want it to spiral out. So and let's draw more of these. Let's say we're drawing 20 of them. So in order to spiral outwards, we want to make it so that the position, we add there we go. Okay, so now we have a circle. Let's make it smaller so that they don't get clipped. Cool. And now let's just scale this by, I'm guessing, index. Oh, I probably should. I think it's working. I think it's actually working, but let's see. Yeah. Very cool, right? Very cool. You can see how you could get that super that's Secret of Mana-esque spiral going. But yeah, like this is very cool. This is exactly basically what I wanted. And now when I make this into buttons or whatever, I don't need to really care about the size of the buttons or anything like that, because I already know their positioning is the positioning logic is completely disconnected from the layout logic. So the layout does what it does, and then all I have to do is just check, is the mouse in the area? If so, left click, you're done. Or, highlight, you press X, or press the button, press the key, press the button, whatever, and it works. And so now it's a lot simpler. And it works a lot more consistently and smooth as silk and butter combined. It looks nice. I'm happy with this. So yeah, this is gonna be the way forward, I think. Yeah, very, very happy with this solution. We can just make it so that if you there we go. So now I can reset it with R. Very cool. I'm very happy with this. Especially coming from me being like, I don't know if this is gonna work, to now I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. I'm happy with this. I'm pretty satisfied with this. And it's probably good to leave it like this, where the layout has its own index, because now you can do things like swap index mid draw, right? So you can like set a layout, whatever the layout function is, draw 7 things, switch the layout, draw different things, go back. No, that doesn't quite work. How should that work? If we wanted to switch layouts. So we have this example. Let's say this is a vertical list, right? So you're drawing one thing at a time. So A, B, C. You switch to a 3x3 grid. You should pick up from this point, draw this stuff. You switch back to a vertical list, let's say down here, or a horizontal list, or whatever. So like, we want it to pick up, because generally you wouldn't want to continue from where it was. I'll see. I'm not sure quite how to do that effectively. One idea is to just give an offset. So when you switch from one to the other, it just manually sets an offset, and then it could offset the rectangle provided into the layout function by that offset. So when you switch from one layout to another, it basically can continue some sort of vertical or visual or whatever movement. That's an idea. So you have something like this, where it's like you have A, B, and then you start a different layout, and it can pick up here and say A, B, A, B, C, D, E, F, E, G, F, E, G, H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, rather. And then it could pick up here. But then how do you get it back here? So you'd have to manually set the layout offset. You could pick up from the original layout, but then it'd be back up here. Be here. We can make it its own area. Oops. We can make it its own area, but I don't really want to do that. So what if we made a sub area that's basically like an area in that you can place stuff, but it's not an actual area. Then we can know how big that sub area is. Well, no, because the layout controls how big the stuff is. This is a fundamentally unusual object, right? Because each object is this big until you get here where this is essentially one object of its own. In terms of spacing, it is its own space. So you switch from one layout to the next layout. We can do an offset system. Once you're done, it finishes maybe here, right? Because it goes do 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 or do 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 do. I guess that works. You could do like this across, right, horizontally. Yeah, you could do it horizontally, and then it ends here, or you could do it like this. It would end here, and then you'd have to like kick it manually, kick the offset manually back. Layouts should probably also be given a zone and not an area specifically. I'm sorry, a rectangle, and not an area specifically. Like, I'm thinking you could do it like this, right? Go horizontally. So this is the flow. And then it finishes here to pick up with the original layout. That definitely can be done, but the issue with that approach, I guess that works. That works. But I'm like, well, what if you wanted your stuff to be vertical though? So when you go here, It's not here. It's actually there. You'd have to manually set the layout down here. I want to avoid manually adjusting things as much as possible. So what do I want to have happen? I want it to be, we're going from one layout to the original skips that distance that the layout traversed. Okay. So the layout can record the distance traversed when you skip back to the original. Well, technically it would be like here then, which is fine if this is where you want it, but if you want it back here, you'd have to switch it. So we'll see. I gotta see. I'm not sure exactly how I want this. There's a couple ways I could do it, but I want to keep it relatively simple. Yeah. I'm happy with this still, nonetheless. I like how this is all the code that makes those little squares, those little characters draw like this. This is what positions them. This is what draws them. Now, yeah, I don't know. I'm still thinking about, like, what about if I have a menu that opens? It needs to draw on top of everything else, but execute first. So the draw order and the update order are separate. What can I do about that? I mean, I guess I can make a UI element thing. Yeah, I guess I could do a UI element thing. I'm still thinking about it. I think I could basically return a function that updates and a function that draws, and then rely on GUI to execute them in two different pieces. So it like updates first, and then draws the things that got updated, something like that. Because if you have a menu, let's say this is a UI element that when you select it, it draws a menu, of course, that, draws on top of everything. Draws a menu like this. If that were to happen, then anything you select in here should be prioritized. I mean, that could just be another area, though. That could just be a whole additional area. That's effectively a pop-up menu. So if that's a pop-up menu, well, when you click on it, we could just, when you click on it, Yeah, that's so it could just be a draw function that gets drawn in reverse. Like it draws the areas maybe in reverse. And then the draw function draws in reverse. So this basically returns a function. It appends a function to the area's UI elements slice, indicating what to draw, which is this. Okay, so something like this. So this actually should be draw call. And so this then we advance the layout. Okay. So yeah, this isn't ideal, but I think that this should work. So then the idea here is, let's go back to GUI. Actually, we don't need to clear the states. Do we ever call reset? I mean, we don't really need to. Let's see, clear IDs in use. Clear the states too. No, we don't need to clear the states. We want to keep them around. Okay, so now when we do this, we say for a range areas in use. Oh, visible areas. All right, so something like this. Yeah, I know. I already know I'm I'm not clearing the UI elements slice. That's why I'm like I'm not even shocked that it was spazzing out. It was going crazy. Okay. Begin, end. There we go. Okay, so it's working again, but this time the UI elements are drawn through the area itself, which is better because by doing this, each area handles drawing its own things. It draws in reverse order. So if you have a pop-up or something, that draws on top. And that handles input as well. So when you like left click on something, if you have the mouse and you left click on something, that area would handle it before the previous areas, or the areas below. So that should work. I think this should work. Look at these little guys. Look at them go. Very cool. All right, well, I'm gonna call it there. I've been streaming for almost 2.5 hours, which is crazy. It didn't feel that like it was that long, but I made a lot of progress. I'm really glad I did this because once this is done, it's gonna be so much better. It's gonna be so much more consistent, so much easier to work with. A lot less of this where I'm setting sizes manually and stuff like that, and setting anchors in the button style and stuff like that. It'll be more clean and more, as you'd expect, essentially. Yeah, so this is going to be much better layout systems. It's going to be so much cleaner, Yeah, so much better. Okay, well, I'm going to call it there. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLoon. If you want to support development of Tetra 3D and master plan and all the things I'm working on, please do check out my GitHub, github.com/solarloon/masterplan/Tetra 3D. You can find masterplan on itch.io, solarloon.itch.io/masterplan. It's also on Steam. I do want to get an update out for that. Don't get it twisted. There's just a lot of stuff going on. I gotta work. I got just other things I need to do. But yeah, life is going okay. I'm doing good. I've been sick over the past couple weeks. I mentioned this on the previous stream. I was sick for like 2 weeks out of a month, 2.5 weeks out of a month. It was just like I got sick, got better, got super busy over a week. That was over. Got sick again. It was just kind of a bad, period where I was just sick a lot. But yeah, now I'm feeling better. So we'll see if I can get this update out before December ends for master plan. Hopefully I can get this game finished soon, but hopefully I can get this GUI stuff done in the next couple days. And yeah, everything's gonna be all right. So anyway, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLoon, and yeah, peace. Oh, and if you do want to check out this GUI thing, it is available, as I recall, on github.com/solarloon/GUI, GOOEY. Although it is a little bit of an old system currently, a little bit of an old setup. So we're gonna be working on this and committing all these changes and stuff once I'm done, once I'm closer to being finished. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys on the flip side next time. See ya.